Are we connected?
I think we're on.
Cool.
All right. Hey, everybody. Greg Siskin here, joined by Josh Waddell. Josh and I are co-founders of Visalaw.ai. People probably know who we are if you found this. And we are an AI platform for immigration lawyers. And we're really excited to have Joel Yedidian with us today. And Joel, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, but you are with Serenade and with a great case management company. So why don't you introduce yourselves, and then we'll get right into it.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on, Greg and Josh. Like you mentioned, I'm from Serenade, representing our eimmigration case management product. We have been serving the legal immigration space for over 30 years, which is slightly older than I am. And the interesting bit there is the company was founded by my dad, Philip Yedidian, who is still around and heads our product and tech and DevOps.
I don't know if he'd appreciate you saying still around. He's like,
Yeah.
he is very much in it.
he is very much in it. And it's been awesome working with him on this frontier and getting to know him in a lens outside of just dad.
Great. All right. Well, the reason why we asked Joel to be on, some of you who attended the AILA annual conference may have seen our announcement earlier in the summer about our integration of our products. And we'll talk. We're mainly here to talk about that, but we also want to talk here. I want to hear a little bit later about what Serenade and eimmigration are up to, especially on the AI front. Josh, I don't know if we have any things that we want to talk about in that regard, but we'll have hopefully time. And we have Ian kind of watching in the background to make sure that we're staying in time and not doing anything that's too off topic. But Josh, why don't you give a quick overview of what this, why, from our perspective, and then Joel will talk a little bit about from his perspective of what this relationship is about and why it's a priority for us to have this capability available to our users.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great starting point, just talking about the relationship. Our product is a companion tool. That's generally how we've always viewed Visalaw.ai, right? At least as it relates to case management. So when we launched our product at the beginning of 2024, we launched Visalaw.ai at the beginning of 2024, we knew that drafting petitions and briefs was going to be a really important part of our use case, of our roadmap. So right out of the gate, we knew that we wanted to partner with a case management product that could deliver, this really unique interface. We can talk about the specifics of the product in a little bit, but as I won't necessarily just speak for you, Greg, but speaking for myself, I know we were looking at the market. We thought eimmigration has been for, as you said, 30 plus years, a really strong player in the space. And honestly, after having initial conversations, and I was looking back at our email and threads and just different conversations we had, it has really been almost a year since we kind of had started these conversations about a potential partnership and this kind of alignment of our products. So it's crazy to think kind of full circle, like we've come a long way since those initial conversations, for sure. But I think the things that really stood out for us were, thought leadership, your brand, and honestly, just getting to know you both, and just as great people to do business with.
I want to add something to that as well. So Some of the immigration lawyers that are watching probably know that that Josh and I and some others on our end have done this case management survey. Now I think we've done it 5 times over the last. I think we started in 2018, and it was. We really get into the weeds with the 300 or so firms that participated, as far as like what they love and what they hate, and what they, about their case management systems, what features they really care about, which they care less about. And it was really, eye-opening. And I did that mainly, for the benefit of the immigration lawyer community. But also it gives us really insightful data about the companies that are in the space. And when we were thinking about partnerships, we had hard data to look at as far as like which companies the immigration lawyer community had high marks for, and Serenade scored really well on there, and it has consistently scored well. In addition to having a large market share, which we're also looking for, a company that would be able to extend our reach to a lot of people. We also wanted one that was not hated by their by the users who were, and boy, people are honest in the surveys about what they say about it. But that mattered to us that that immigration scored highly, and that its users had a lot of nice things to say about them, as far as who we wanted to connect with first, in addition to just sort of our own knowledge about a lot of the cool things that e-immigration has had in the works. So I just wanted to mention that we didn't, it was, for us, it was a we had it was a research process to figure out who the companies were that we most desired to work with. So I think we can. Well, let's flip this around, because obviously, Joel, you guys were also probably trying to figure out a little bit about us, and trying to figure out if this is something, what we were working on was something that your users would find helpful. And I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about sort of like what the thought process went in as far as why you guys were interested in building out this kind of connection.
Yeah. From our end, we, of course, like to keep a pulse on new technology and new businesses in the market. And we noticed you guys originally for Gen, where on the research front, we wanted to see, hey, is there, something we might be able to do with these guys? And we, continued to see you on a variety of podcasts, your name's kind of spreading in the space. But ultimately, we reached out for a few reasons. One, the combination of drafting and case management kind of feels like peanut butter and jelly, where the inputs to a draft come from the case management system, right? The case data and the client data that produces the draft, where it naturally kind of fits with other case documents in the case management system. So that kind of input output connection, it's a natural flow for us. But why Visalaw specifically? Obviously, there's a number of drafts and drafting solutions in the market. And from our perspective, it is important to kind of offer our customers the best of the best. We like to do that with our own functionality, but also with integration. So from as early as getting a demo on your solution to even more importantly, just getting some really highly positive customer feedback on law firms that have used your solution, it became quickly evident to us that you guys were sort of best in class, and we wanted to see, well, how could we meld these two solutions together. But beyond the obvious kind of product adjacency and all of that stuff. I think you put it fairly earlier on when you mentioned from a people perspective, this seemed really interesting, especially to me. I kind of noticed, well, with Philip, he kind of represents 30 years of building software for legal immigration professionals. And Greg, you obviously have advanced the practice of immigration law for over 30 years. So this kind of image in my head of, oh, these two titans could be brought together. It felt like perfect compliments. So that prospect really excited me. But obviously, beyond you, Greg, we've loved getting to know Josh and the rest of your team, and it's been really cool to build this first of its kind solution.
I agree, and you guys have been wonderful to work with. You have a pretty deep bench over there of talent, so that's been for us, it's been great. So this has been a couple months now, and what kind of feedback are you getting from customers about the integration, and how is it working so far for them?
So far, we unsurprisingly have gotten mostly positive feedback. I think that as with any integration is built, there are some kinks to iron out of like, hey, this isn't necessarily performing as we expected to. And, that's the nature of the software business. You kind of build and iterate and improve. So that's all as expected. But largely, it's been cool to see the value that the integration is delivering, where if I were to describe it broadly, it's building stronger cases faster. I saw a quote here, as John Khosravi put it in our discussion or interview with you guys at Ayla. Greg and Philip are the godfathers of immigration legal tech.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. I was mentioning, the value that we're noticing our customers get. They're building their cases faster. They're building them stronger, and specifically, this is through a variety of, I guess, call it productivity levers. Where, first of all, to produce these drafts from within eimmigration, all you have to do is select the templates, the citations, and the categories, and then your solution and the AI handle the draft for you. So that itself is incredible to be able to do in one flow. But kind of like I mentioned earlier, the process of document upload is not fun. You know that as immigration attorneys, and it's even less fun when you have to do it twice. So just the efficiency gains you get from, again, having one flow, not needing to re-upload documents, these add up when you're working on many cases for many clients. And those time savings, when you're not focused on formatting and managing documents, translate to more time doing the fulfilling stuff, the strategizing, the advising, and the delivering value to your clients. So it's been really kind of cool to see how the integration has pushed all of that, and we're looking to kind of see how it can continue to blossom.
Great. Well, one of the things, so Philip and I got to do a panel together in Denver about AI, and it was kind of fun preparing for that panel with him because he was able to give me some previews of some of the cool things that you guys are working on in the AI space. So I thought let's move away from drafts for a second, and I'm really interested in what you can tell us about what AI functionality you guys have in eimmigration, and also what's cooking as far as like what's coming in. I know what I don't know like when things would be coming, but I was definitely like, wow, that's really cool on there as far as some of the things that Philip was showing. So I don't know what you can actually talk about, but maybe you can talk about what AI functionality you already have, and maybe some of the things that your customers can expect to see.
Yeah, I can talk about, of course, everything that's out, and I can talk about what's sort of fresh off the grill. We have something that just came out this month, and that's slowly rolling out. So what's been out for um, I think maybe a little less than a year are a couple solutions. We have our extractor AI solution, which that allows for pulling information from PDFs, whether they're electronically completed or handwritten. They could be passports or receipts or case notes, and ultimately pulling that information directly into a client profile. Maybe it's a new one you're creating, or case profile. So that's been super popular. I think shortly around that time, we released a summarizer AI feature. Like the name suggests, it creates summaries or concise recaps of information from PDFs, text, or from URLs. You can point it to a website and it'll summarize it for you. And where we've seen this useful for our customers has been in summarizing court AAO decisions, and long documents and case histories, and again bringing that directly into the case record that you're working on. So again, all these things kind of little bits of efficiency add up. So there's extractor, there's summarizer. Last month we released a feature that I think at this point we're calling report AI. We've obviously offered reporting in e-immigration for some time, and I think that regardless of what case management system you work with, reporting isn't the most intuitive functionality to use. It's inherently, given what it is, going to be a little more maybe technologically or analytically demanding. So we wanted to see with this dimension how we could use AI to make it a little simpler. And what we've built is a natural language or plain language mechanism, where you could ask something like, hey, do we have any clients with children turning 20 this year? Or can you list all the H-1B cases created in the past 3 months? And you could even say, in this state, if you serve clients across states. And you'll get instant answers to those questions, again, all in plain English, kind of like what you're seeing with chat GPT and your solution. I think that natural language is something that we're really excited about within reporting. And I don't want to release too much on what we're working on, but we think that there are other really cool applications of this within case management.
Yeah, I mean, Josh and I have actually had that discussion before, which is sort of that is one of the best AI use cases in a case management system. You guys are a data warehouse for all the client data and, and to some extent, practice management data for your customers. And, that is the ability to be able to access that data through an AI chatbot, and be able to get those kinds of insights. That is that's a game changer for a lot of people. It sort of reminds me as well about like one of the Microsoft's Copilot, which I'm sure a lot of your customers use, and a lot of people that use our product are using as well. They have this AI tool, and sort of like the most useful thing in that for me, because there's ChatGPT, there's our product, there's all these other places you can go to, but they have all the Teams messages and all the Outlook messages, and these needle and haystack kinds of queries, like you were just talking about. Like, I need to find an H1, what are my H1B clients? And the old ways that you would do it might feel really pretty manual, especially if you're not that proficient on how to set up reports. And now you just basically talk to it like you're talking to your human assistant. as far as what what you need to find out, and the amount of time that you're probably saving through a task like that, or is a lot. If you think about what you spend your day working on, it's usually looking for stuff on your computer or in your data that you already have. So, I think that if that's if that capability probably is going to become, probably one of the most popular features that you guys offer, whereas right now most of your customers probably hardly ever use reports, because it seems like they, if you're like most case management systems where there's like a handful of people in the firm that actually have taken the time to learn how to do reports, now probably for a lot more of your users, that's going to feel a lot more natural as far as getting that information.
Yeah, and we think that this is one of those pieces of functionality that both serves the newer user who's still getting oriented to the system, or who may not be very, technologically literate, but also offers immense value to the power users who want to look for some of those needle in the haystack, data points, and that we want to get really custom with what they're looking for. So we're excited to see more on how our customers use that.
So is that extend out through like sort of like all the things that you could currently query in your reports functionality? Now you have this AI interface, or are you rolling it out part by part?
So the interesting thing about it is it covers everything that you can get with reporting and more, and that's why I was pointing out the for the power users who are not able to write a query or do a custom report for something that they want. This allows them to get that. It kind of spreads to all the edges of what's possible within their data set. And that's really exciting. But ultimately I think what I'm most excited about, and what I think we showed you, Greg, at AILA, is on the translations front and on the forms front.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I told you, I with what's in development, we're careful about revealing detailed roadmap items in public forums, but I can speak to, like I said, what just came out is our intelligent forms package functionality that is intertwined with our translator AI. So obviously I can't do a demo of this now, but I'll give a verbal overview. Let's say you have an attorney who wants to send a form and intakes to a client, and the regular, or I'll say old process, which you see in most case management systems, including ours up to a couple months ago, was you would create questionnaires for the form. Maybe you already have them, and you would need to select which questionnaires are relevant for a given form that you're trying to complete, or for a given case process that you're trying to undergo. And what we have now with this intelligent forms package is AI essentially automatically selects the relevant intake questionnaires and combines them into a packet with the actual form all in one place. So you're sending that to the client. And the cool thing here is, hey, first of all, like they're getting everything together, and you didn't need to go figure out, oh, well, what questionnaires do I need for this form? It's another point on efficiency. But beyond efficiency, it's a better client experience to get this package that as they're filling out their questionnaires, the responses propagate to the actual form. So what we see in case management commonly is this duality of some clients who prefer to see the actual form. They want to see, well, what is it that that will be getting submitted for me to the USCIS or another agency, and they like to be in the know. But some clients have the thought of, hey, I'm paying you to fill this thing out. Why am why am I doing this? I don't want to see this form. I want a simple questionnaire. So we allow for both, where if you want to fill out the direct form, go for it. If you prefer the questionnaires, that's fine too. As you fill out the questionnaires, the form will fill out. And layered into all of this, like I mentioned earlier, is our translator AI feature, where it currently translates up to 13 languages, and I believe this is growing. I don't know how many languages we're in the process of building in right now, but we're at 13 right now. And the translator translates both the intake questionnaires as well as the actual USCIS form for clients. So let's say you have a client who only speaks Spanish or Japanese. The translator will translate the like I said, the questionnaires and the actual form to their language. And I do believe there, are other solutions that might offer some help with intake translations, but I'm fairly confident that we are the only.
I haven't seen it. And and Philip did a demo of this for me in Denver, and I was blown away. I mean, it looks like when the person gets it, as if the USCI, the I-130 form, or whichever form it is, was actually all the fields, and as far as like name and all that it looked like it was natively created in those languages, so that when somebody gets it, whose English might be a little bit shaky, they really are going to be quite comfortable that the information that's in there is correctly reflecting what their understanding of the truth is. So I think it's going to probably make for fewer mistakes for lawyers where the client didn't understand exactly the question that was being asked. Now I think I think on the quality control side, for lawyers, this is something that definitely will help. But also, I think clients are going to really like it, feeling like this is less of a mystery to them, where they have to just trust that the lawyer is putting all the information in the correct places on the form, even though they don't understand English well enough to be able to check for themselves. Now they'll be able to.
Yeah, I do think there's, like you mentioned, there's an efficiency component to it. There's a quality component to it. There's a client experience component to it, right? And also worth mentioning, so you can translate the questionnaires and form for the client, but you can then translate all of those back to English or whatever language the caseworker wants to be working in, and then ultimately English to submit it and file it. Yes, I think it offers a lot. I think it is something that we're uniquely positioned to offer, given our forms engine. We are one of the, if not the only, not just immigration case management, but legal case management solution providers that has our own forms engine, which allows us to do things like this. Like I said, this just came out this month. It's fresh off the grill. We're really excited to see the different layers of value that it offers our customers.
Hopefully you have something on your website where people can start to see what that looks like, or it's coming soon, because I think it's pretty unique, and I think people are going to be pretty impressed by it. I actually wanted to come back also to something that you were talking about before, and I don't want to interrupt you before when you were talking about the reports functionality. But another thing that that Philip had showed that I had asked, it wasn't just sort of like finding data on specific clients, but also from a management perspective, being able to extract. And I told him, I said, ask it this question: which of my paralegals is killing it? That's all I told it to ask, to see if the AI could figure out, figure out what I was asking, and B, deliver a nice report on that. And it did. on there with that specific query. It knew exactly what its job was just with that basic slang on there. I mean, that's such a difference between sort of the old way with the reporting functionality, where you had to be super precise in asking, for exactly what you wanted, whereas now you could just throw a phrase like that, and it actually, I think from the management side of things, it's going to mean people are going to value a lot more of the data that's in their case management systems to have a much better understanding about how their firm is really doing, how their different employees are really doing. And in this case, it was able to give a very detailed productivity report for paralegals so that you could figure out which of them were the most productive. So I did want to mention that before I forgot. And then I guess that, to just kind of zoom out a little bit on the AI space. I mean, how do you're obviously putting a lot of resources into AI. So sort of like, how do you see this playing out over the next couple of years as far as your product goes in terms of, whether you're going to be putting even more resources into it and rolling out more features? Do you think it's sort of for people that are not super familiar with AI yet? Or you sort of like, just kind of slow walking them in terms of getting used to it? But I guess I'm just sort of curious about where you see e-immigration in a couple of years with respect to AI and how much energy you guys are putting in on that side of things.
Yeah, it's a fair question. I'll say innovation has always driven us. I think a core question that Serenade has asked for over 30 years is simply what will make the lives of immigration attorneys easier. And that's codified today in our mission very explicitly, to make casework easier for immigration professionals. So we think that using AI to build practical functionality that delivers tangible results, whether it's any of those that I referenced earlier on. It could be productivity and efficiency, it can be client experience, it could be quality, it could be compliance, it could be cost savings, right? But using AI to promote those results is our very clear next step in fulfilling our mission. It's in line with our company ethos of promoting all of this through technological innovation. So that's a no-brainer. I think that as for how we see things going beyond that directive, the way we've always operated is to kind of stay ahead of innovation, get feedback, and iterate. So like I mentioned earlier in the conversation as well, the both quantitative and qualitative data of how our users begin using these different pieces of functionality, whether it's the reporting feature to for uses such as practice management, like you noted, or whether it's for grant reporting for our nonprofit customers, or some other use cases that we don't currently know about. That will end up informing us on how to either fine-tune that piece of functionality or build something new. And earlier on, I obviously listed a whole suite of AI functionality that we have. Obviously, a lot to keep track of. So if anyone who's listening to or watching this stream wants to learn more, you can go to get.eimmigration.com/AI-tools. And we have more on all of the different pieces of functionality that we mentioned today.
I don't know whose siren that is.
Sirens are going.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you can
Not
hear
me.
the New York City in the background, I hope you could still hear me.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, you're fine. You're good.
Well, Josh, I haven't let you do very much talking today. So I'm wondering if sort of like you have some thoughts sort of just in general about AI and immigration law and sort of how these, the different, there's a lot of different products categories in the immigration space and how AI kind of, I guess weaves its way through all of them and how they connect on there. And I don't know if you sort of want to talk philosophically about sort of where you see AI and basically these immigration categories and the way lawyers are using tech on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say right now, this isn't really philosophical, it's more practical. I'm having to wear a lot of practical, sort of like in the weeds hats a lot of the time, but this concept of just identifying use cases, right? I think a lot of times we get overwhelmed with the concept of artificial intelligence and where a lot of this technology is moving. And it has been moving, it continues to move very, very quickly. And the industry, will continue to learn and adapt to, this constant sort of evolution of the capabilities. But I think it's as simple as I do something this way. If I had this tool available or this resource available, how would I incorporate that? Or would that make this process better? I mean, I think it's truly that simple. I think that's how we viewed Visalaw.ai initially. It was like, we're like, oh, research. That's a very obvious use case for generative AI as it exists in this initial form. Text in, text out. If we have this really great data set, this really large immigration data set, how can that be meaningful for users? Then it became drafting. We were like, oh, well, another obvious use case is sort of moving in the direction, beyond research is, okay, case strategy, great. Now let's take that strategy and then draft something, do something with it. And now what I would say is like, we're starting to see AI get incorporated into other areas of, I think initially the interesting one for me is more administrative tasks, like things that may not even actually be legal related. You and I, Greg, have talked a lot about it. We're researching a lot on these topics for other things, but administratively, think intake, think conversational, think billing, accounting, reporting. There are just so many screening clients. There's just so many different avenues I think we can sort of like incorporate AI into. And really today, I think that maybe the tools are starting to and maybe it's just like a timing thing, like adopting, because right now I would say even our product, even Visalaw.ai, especially something like drafts, and as we start to add on these other features, it's still very early stage, right? Like the people that are using the tech right now are definitely sort of like first on the ship, but I think that the conversations though are definitely evolving. A lot of the initial concerns people have evolved, and the conversations that we're having today are different than a year ago. And I'm sure the conversations we'll be having a year ago about the technology will be very different than they are today. But yeah, I mean, I think just kind of summarize all that sort of random rant up, I would say for firms that are interested in using AI, I think you just start with a use case. I think you keep it relatively simple. How is the practice of law going to be different in 5 years? I think it will be very different. But I don't think people should be like openly concerned about that today. I think taking baby steps in the right direction, right? I don't know, maybe it was like sending that first email back in the day, like when you could actually transfer data over a server.
There was a lot of fear with, believe it or not, with email at the beginning with the lawyers, legal community, because I was practicing back in the day when email was starting, and there was this whole worry about whether you could even ethically send an email to a client without going through this, very cumbersome encryption process. So that's that was legitimate. And then obviously over time, people no longer thought of that as something that was at all controversial and was something that they incorporate. I personally, I know we've had this discussion, and probably Joel, you guys are probably having this discussion as well. But when the cookbook that Ari Sauer and I work on has in each one of the chapters, there's this sort of it's this very dense set of steps on a case, and some of those steps on a case are things about the person preparing the case itself, the file, and getting it ready to file. And a lot of it's in the administrative tasks that are associated with the case, beginning with, but even in law firms, you sort of think more broadly, everything from when the phone call comes in initially or the email comes in from the prospective client, and how that person even gets on your radar and gets into your data ecosystem to and then they get scheduled, and then you are basically asking them a lot of questions to screen, and then you have a consultation, and then you have to do an engagement letter, and you have to set the matter up in your case management system, and then you have to collect all the documents from the client. There's a zillion steps that go into each of these cases, and right now they're very siloed in different systems that you have. You may have a marketing system that's that where you're collecting information about prospective clients, and then you may have a financial system like QuickBooks for managing all the data on the financial side of things, and you may have scheduling software they use, and you have a case management system, and you have your legal research product, and you have your drafting product. And right now, there's not a lot of connecting of those. There's not, and so I do think down the road, and we've talked about this idea of this AI brain that essentially pulls all of your systems together so that you can automate from steps from beginning to end. Not everything, obviously, you need the humans in the loop, but this idea that you can use an AI agent that's basically the term or automations to essentially pull everything in your system together so that you're maximizing efficiency and you're able to spend the most time on things where the human is most valuable, particularly like on evaluating strategies and keeping up to date on law and all these things that you have to do that are sort of why people really want a lawyer. That if you had the maximize efficiency using AI with all the software that you are using, that you could do a lot more. And that's sort of like, that's where I'm seeing things heading over the next couple of years, are that kind of capability where AI pretty much factors in from the very first time the client reaches out to a law firm until all the way at the end where you're done working on their matters. But we'll see if if we can live up to that. But that's, and that's sort of the philosophy, I guess, behind why we were, interested in this first big integration with the immigration. But I think probably it informs where a lot of things are going to be headed down the road, which is that making all AI basically connect everything that you're doing in your workplace.
Yeah. If I were going to step out one more time and go like super philosophical, if I'm really because again, I was just trying to think something practical that would be helpful for people to think. But I don't know why I say 5 years, but you say agentic, I think digital worker. Like, I think that's, the term that the market has started to call it. Like, if you start talking to like people in Silicon Valley that are starting these agentic companies now, it's like the term for essentially, I think previously it used to be referred to like actual people who learn digital skills. Now it's sort of like the opposite. It's like a truly digital agent that essentially is empowered to do certain tasks. So maybe in 5 years, instead of looking for software vendors, your software stack is pretty much, I bet basically what I would foresee is like the stack is not changing that much. You're actually just like finding your digital workforce and having someone like manage that workforce. So you like go in and find a digital worker, and like it's just going to be like finding recruiting work now. Like there will be some that are better than others, some that are more expensive than others. And you can like review them. I don't know. It's an interesting concept. I don't think that's like replacing an actual team of people, but like they will be assisting. Like think about, again, all those administrative tasks. like as an attorney, as a paralegal, that if you were freed up to just communicate with a client and do that high value work, how much more meaningful it would be for you and the client ultimately. So I don't know. That's super high level. I don't know how I feel about it, but.
Well, I don't know if you have any thoughts sort of on this. On this, I mean, you guys probably think a lot about these big questions too.
Yeah, I think on some level, I think I've commented on them through just talking about our philosophy for building and what it is that we are building and have put out. I do think, like you said, Greg, one guiding principle for us is, again, I mentioned the how can we make lives easier for immigration professionals, but along with that, how can we make not life easier, but work more fulfilling? And I think that happens when you're spending time on the advising and staying on top of legal research and the reasons why I imagine immigration attorneys and paralegals go into the work. So to the extent we can continue kind of building efficiency into the more administrative side of things, we will. That's essentially at its core one of the main value propositions that case management software offers. As for the how, that's what we're figuring out, and whether it's natural language, or whether it's an eventual what looks like either an agent or a digital worker, like Josh mentioned, or whether it's even something as simple as, is it something that's written or typed, or are you starting to speak to software? There are question marks around again the how there, and we're not just ensuring that we stay ahead of those technological trends, but thinking about how they very specifically apply to immigration professionals. I think will give us guidance on all of this. So yeah, we're excited for what's ahead, and we're simultaneously cautious and observant.
Well, that's always wise. All right, so Josh, I don't know if you want me to sort of to close and give an invite to viewers for our October 14th program. Do you have that information, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Tell people what's coming up next month.
Yeah. So next month, at the mid-October, October 14th, it's 11 a.m. Central Time, and we'll send out information on all the social feeds and everywhere that you can find that info. There will be a link to register. It will be another live stream, but in this one, we will be focused entirely on a full demo of the integration, right? So we'll have folks from the eimmigration team. We'll also have our team, and so we'll do sort of like a full walkthrough, detailed walkthrough of how you can go from initiating a case to a final petition, essentially ready to packet and send, and submit. So that's really exciting. We're looking forward to it. Again, it'll be October 14th, 11 a.m. Central. And I believe users will be able to pre-register. And oh, great. So we just added the link in the comments area. So okay. Anyone on the call or on the stream today can access it there.
And Josh, you and I are going to be next week in Boston at the ALFall conference. And if you guys, for anybody who's going, there's a technology track at the fall conference in Boston that I'll be on at least one of the panels, but we also have a booth in the exhibit hall, and Josh and I will be hanging out there and hopefully getting to see a lot of you folks. Joel, I don't know if you sort of have any announcements about conferences or anything that you guys have coming up. Feel free, or we can tell people later.
Yeah, so we unfortunately won't be at the Boston conference that I think you mentioned later this month. but we will be at the AILA New England chapter conference in Boston on November 7th. I think we have a couple other presences. We're going to be in Austin for the UT Immigration and Nationality Law Conference, and that's October 23rd and 24th. And then I'm excited for the New York City Bar Immigration Law Conference. So I'll be here, obviously.
I think we're going to that too, aren't we, Josh?
We're going to the New York, the AILA New York chapter conference. I don't know if that's that may be a different conference.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, anyway, Joel, I want to thank you for stopping by, and I hope people got a pretty good sense about some of the cool things that you guys are working on. I think even if they didn't, if they spend some time kind of like just getting a look at some of the videos and getting a demonstration, they'll get a pretty good idea of it, like I did. It's sort of like some of these things, you just have to see it in order to appreciate it. But I can just tell people you will appreciate it. It is some very novel tech that these guys are pushing out. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. And I first of all, it's been a pleasure working with both of you, and it's been awesome being on this live stream. On the topic of trying the software or the integration, I do want to just quickly mention our promotion, where if there are any Visalaw customers watching this, we're happy to give you 2 free months to e-immigration if you mention that you're coming from them. So you can get in touch again at get.eimmigration.com. Just request a demo, and if you're coming from Visalaw, we'll give you some free access.
All right. Well, awesome. With that, I think we are ready to conclude. And I want to thank Ian Schiller, thank you, and Trinity, thank you for helping us behind the scenes with today's program. So we'll see you guys next time.
See everybody.